The new season is now only weeks away, and fans all over the world are waiting with bated breath. The transfer window, the Club World Cup, and even the friendlies are already showing that the 2025-2026 season is going to be one for the ages. And while we expect it to be widely unpredictable, there are a few things we expect to happen. That's what we're here to talk about today. Special shout out to the subscriber who's been asking for this video in the comments. These are 10 things that will definitely happen in the 2025-2026 season. We did this last year and it turns out that we were mostly right. If you want to see how well we did, feel free to go back and check out the video here. Anyway, let's look at the 2025-2026 season. First of all, the gap between the big clubs and small clubs in the Premier League is about to widen. Last season, Nottingham Forest finished in the European places. Crystal Palace beat City to win the FA Cup. Newcastle beat Liverpool to win the EFL Cup, while the likes of Brighton and Bournemouth also had impressive seasons, but expect all that to change in the new season. The big clubs have flexed their power in the transfer window, and that will reflect in the football. Brentford have lost their coach, keeper, top scorer, defensive midfielder, and might also lose their striker. Bournemouth have lost 2 of their back 4 and might still lose a 3rd. Wolves have lost their best player and best defender. Forest have lost 2 of their best players. We could go on and on, but you get the point. Still in the Premier League, we expect that the record for most goals scored in a single season will be broken. Right now, the goals record for a 38 Premier League season stands at 1,246, which was achieved in the 2023-2024 season, but expect that record to be eclipsed in the new season. The Premier League has been recruiting some of the best goal scorers in the world this summer. They brought in Gyökeres, Rees, Ekitike, Tieno, among others. And even the proven goal scorers within the league like João Pedro, Dilap, Cunha, Mbeumo are joining better teams that create more. So their goal tallies could significantly increase, and that's not even all. We could still see Isak move to a bigger club and Sesko join the league. And don't forget, we still have the likes of Salah, Haaland, Saka and Cole Palmer who will still be hungry for goals. So yeah, that record is at risk. We should be looking at upwards of 1,300 goals scored in the 2025-2026 Premier League season. If you think that's about prediction, you haven't seen anything yet. In a moment, we'll attempt to predict the winner of the 2026 Premier League title using patterns and statistics. But first, let's go to La Liga. Expect big exit from Real Madrid and Barcelona. The relationship between Barcelona and Ter Stegen seems to be deteriorating by the day, and having now bought a new young goalkeeper, the German could be on his way out next season. Lewandowski could also leave the club, and there could be 1 or 2 shocking exits. Maybe Rafinha, who knows? Real Madrid, meanwhile, might say goodbye to Carvajal now that they have Trent. We could also see the likes of Rudiger and Alaba leaving. But don't write off either Vini or Rodrigo bidding farewell to the club. Now, this next one is something we're sure nobody wants to hear, but unfortunately, the likelihood seems high. Big clubs will suffer a lot of injuries. Not shoot the messenger, but it will likely happen. There have been a lot of games played over the last couple of seasons, more games than in previous seasons. The Champions League has been expanded, the Nation League is now competitive, and of course, there's a new Club World Cup. Footballers aren't machines. This significant increase in minutes is bound to affect them. The biggest clubs will be the biggest victims, as their best players are the ones who play the most minutes, both at club and international level. You know what else is going to happen next season? A fallen giant is going to rise again. There will be a massive resurgence for someone. Now, who is it going to be? We can't exactly say. It could be Manchester United, AC Milan, Ajax, or even Everton, but it's certainly going to happen. These clubs have made huge changes. They've bought new players, signed new coaches, some even have new owners. And on top of that, the likes of United, Everton, and Milan are into Europe, so they'll have much freer schedules in the new season. On the other hand, we are predicting a sleeper for the current champions of Europe. PSG had a truly phenomenal 2024-2025 season, tearing everyone apart and on their way to winning their first ever Champions League and completing the European treble. Even though they lost out on the Club World Cup, they could still win the sextuple. That's how dominant they've been, and with how young their team is, everyone expects them to continue to dominate next season. But we think they will actually be exposed in the Champions League. Yes, it's a bold prediction. But we believe that right from the league phase, PSG will be made to look ordinary. By the time the new Champions League season kicks off, the novelty must have worn off and the fear will go out with it. Once opponents no longer fear PSG, it will be a little easier to break them down. They will still be brilliant for sure, but they won't be the devastated team we saw last season. Speaking of the Champions League, there will almost certainly be an unbelievable run from unexpected team. We have our eyes on Napoli and Galatasaray. They both just won their respective leagues and they've gone on to strengthen their squads this summer. Napoli have signed Noah Lang and De Bruyne, but they are not done yet. And remember, they are led by a top coach in Antonio Conte. Galatasaray, meanwhile, have signed Sané and have managed to get Osimhen on a permanent deal. If a few things go their way, either one of these two teams could make a quarterfinal or even semi-final run. Okay, let's now return to the Premier League. Before we reveal our prediction for who will go home with the title, let's talk about Manchester City versus Arsenal. That fixture will certainly get a lot fiercer next season. Something has been brewing between these two for the last few seasons, and it could come to an end in the 2025-2026 season. Last season was pure drama. Haaland threw a ball at Gabriel's head, told Arteta to be humble and asked who MLS was. Then MLS responded by doing Haaland's celebration after helping Arsenal humble City. Arsenal had the last laugh last season, but City will be hoping to one-up them next season. But of course, Arsenal will show resistance, and now the North Londoners have their own big striker who has a lot of personality, so it will be chaos. We won't even be surprised if there's a brawl between those two teams. But who will go home with a Premier League title? Of course, Liverpool are favourites. Defending champions have a ridiculous transfer window. Definitely favourite. Arsenal will always be up there too, second in 3 straight seasons. But now that they finally signed the top striker, they want to go a step further. But here's what we think. The title will be won by either Manchester City or Chelsea. And this is not just because we have a thing for any of these clubs. History just points towards them. Throughout his managerial career, Pep has never gone more than 1 year without winning a league title. Never. Chelsea, meanwhile, have a history of winning big trophies under Italian managers. They won the Premier League under Ancelotti and Conte, the Champions League under Di Matteo, and the Europa League under Sarri, and both the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup and the UEFA Super Cup under Vialli. In case you forgot, Maresca is Italian. They've already won the Club World Cup, so that could be a big trophy for Maresca, but they could also add one more. Who knows? We are not discounting Liverpool, of course. We just think they've won the Premier League. They will now be more focused on the Champions League. Also, they haven't won back-to-back titles since the 80s, so the likelihood of them returning the Premier League is pretty low. Finally, something very strange is going to happen in one of the big leagues during the winter games. We don't know what it is. All we can say is look out for something really bizarre. Now, how many of these things do you think would actually happen? Tell us in the comments, and while you're there, feel free to make your own prediction for the 2025-2026 season. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so that you never miss out on new content. We'll catch you in the next one.